I don't know, where do you even start? All right, there's so many lessons in the Cracker Barrel thing.
Welcome to the Automotive Advantage. Grow your business and get smarter in just 1 hour.
How are we going?
We're going.
Welcome back to the Automotive Advantage, everybody. I got Justin Cesler here from Driveline Studios. I'm Dr. Jamie Meyer. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in like a month. What have you been doing?
It feels like it's been a long time. We released the Freiburger episode 2 weeks ago. We had 1 week off, but it feels like it's been months. A lot has changed since the Freiburger episode. I think today we're going to talk about kind of some success and some learnings from the first 10 episodes of the Automotive Advantage. What we learned from Freiburger, loans, Justin Keith, all that. Then we also went to a YouTube Content Creation Summit recently, yesterday. So I'm going to talk about that a bunch. And then you got some news topics, right?
Yeah, kind of a normal thing. You're going to go through the podcast, and because I like this trip we're on, and we get to share with everybody, and they get to learn from our adventures. Bunch of stuff in the news, and then AI is still hot, man. That ain't going away. So we got invited to Google headquarters Detroit. Thank you, Alan Johnson and Les Stanford Chevrolet. They got us in there. It was the first ever Automotive Content Creator Summit for Google and YouTube. I had a bunch of takeaways. I mean, we know YouTube is massive. For me, when they put it in big numbers, it's crazy. I think you're going to go through some of that. But do you want to go through our stuff first? Do you want to give an update on where Automotive Advantage is? You want to start there? You just run with it. Have fun.
Sure.
Wait a minute. First of all, did you set a land speed record in the Trans Am? Is that what I saw?
We did not set a land speed record in a Trans Am. We did finally get the Vengeance Racing GM high-tech performance Trans Am up and running. I think we cut the front end off of it something like 15 to 20 years ago. It has not run since then. Ron at Vengeance has had it literally forever since I was at GM High-Tech. We kind of got it going, kind of didn't get it going, kind of got it going again, kind of didn't get it going, got busy, life got in the way. I remember the first time I went to Vengeance Racing, they had a Corvette. It was a C6 Corvette at the time in the back that I asked Ron, whose car is this? He said, oh, that car's been here forever, man. It's been here for like 4 years. It's just a long-term project. And I said to him, it's like, who would leave a car at a shop for 4 years? That's totally insane. Well, little foreshadowing. I left one at Vengeance for 15 years, something like that. And, it wasn't Vengeance's fault at all. It was my fault, but they just kept working on it when we could and finally got it up and running. It made 1,100 rear wheel horsepower on the dyno, Howard Tanner tuning it. And then Ron and his crew took it up to Shift Sector in Indy. Ron had the scariest job because he got there Friday, and I was like, Ron, I can't come till Sunday, so why don't you shake down the car on Saturday, friend? So he gets in, he makes a hit, which he described as absolutely terrifying, right? The car's been a long time coming. Obviously, his team went over all the safety and went over everything, made sure everything was perfect, but still, first time wide open throttle in a 1,100 horsepower 4th gen is going to be a scary ride. He went 185 first pass with it almost stalled and just whatever, trying to get used to the car. I get in it and he's like, all right, here's the thing. It's a F-body with 1,200 horsepower, so it's terrifying. He's like, first gear, as soon as you hear the turbo, just get ready to shift because it's going straight to the limiter. Second gear, same thing. Third gear, it's going to start to spin and accelerate at the same time. So you just got to get through that. Fourth gear, look up and realize how far away the finish line is. He's like, and then just stay in it. I'm not going to make fun of you. Just stay in it until you don't feel comfortable and then let out. You don't have to go through the traps. Just kind of get used to it. So I knew he would, in fact, make fun of me if I lifted. So I didn't. I went 181 on my first pass. Then we went 185 later on. Then we had some throttle, blade, TPS sensor issues or something like that. So we called it quits. But yeah, literally from not driving it in 15 years to going 185 miles an hour in it. It's back at Vengeance now. They're doing some upgrades, cleaning up some stuff that we didn't like while we were there, lowering the car a little. It was sitting really high. And then we're going to go to Texas in April to another Shift Sector event out there and try to go 200.
So tell me about the market. Are people looking past land speed racing? I mean, Texas mile stuff, should there be more people involved?
Shift Sector was a big event. Like, all kinds of cool shops there. You know, there's the Lambos, there's the R8s, there's the Supras, there were like some crazy C6s and C7s, as you would imagine. Vengeance had 4 or 5 customers there with C7 Z06s. They're going like 160. So I think it's still there. I think it's such a cool environment because it's real loosey-goosey. You know, you're not really racing. There's not a bracket. It's just you go, make a hit, come back, do whatever you got to do, and then go back out, kind of a thing. So it felt like a really nice atmosphere to be in. It was packed. There were a lot of people there. They have a live stream, and they do a good job with the media coverage, like photo, video-wise. So, yeah, it was great. It was my first one. Vengeance has, sponsored and been to a million of those, but definitely still an alive and well segment. We were racing what's effectively a nostalgia car, because our car was cool in 2000 when we started it. But to show up in a 4th gen, pretty unassuming to most people there with STOs and, R8s and whatever other crazy stuff. And we held our own, I think. So, still a huge market for sure.
Awesome. All right. Where are we as a podcast? Give me the good news.
Okay. The good news is we have a lot of viewers. So thank you, everyone who's watched any of these or is listening now. But one of the things about our channel is we want to help people understand how to do this and, what our takeaways are. So I think we wanted to dive into some of the analytics today and just tell people where we are. We'll be super open with everybody. So in the last 90 days, which would be since we launched, we've done 10 episodes. This will be episode 11. We've done 60,701 views on YouTube, which is great. We've had 15,900 hours of cumulative watch time, which is awesome. And we've added 906 subscribers. So we have 913 subscribers right now, which is super cool. And we've done 801 views in the last 48 hours. So, yeah, it's been great. Those 60,000 views come on almost 1 million impressions, 972,000 impressions. And the average view duration, which is really strong. A lot of people were like, you don't want content that's too long. Average view duration, 15 minutes and 49 seconds. So people are sticking with us for quite a while, which is awesome. The audience, our monthly audience, which is kind of YouTube's rough guesstimation, is 36,000 people. Obviously, everyone's been a new viewer. Should be no surprise there. Channels your audience watches in the last 28 days. I don't think these will be surprising to many people. David Freiberger, Stay Tuned, Finnegan's Garage, Steve, and Dennis Collins. So kind of exactly maybe who we thought it would be. Most of our watch time is from people that are not subscribed. No surprise. And people are loving videos, shorts. Again, this is kind of the age and gender I would imagine, but 93% male. And the majority, 25.9%, which is the biggest range here, 55 to 64 years old, which is cool. Second is 65 plus, 22.5%. And then 45 to 54, 22%. And then 18 to 24 is just 1.9%. So kind of an older male-dominated crowd right now, which is great. I think that's kind of the topics we've been talking about. But, I would maybe tell people to share it with some younger people because we're trying to give advice to people that are, up and coming. And we've seen a lot of comments like, hey, I just started on YouTube. This has been invaluable, that kind of stuff. So those are the raw numbers. Let's just call it 60,000 views. Give me your feel on what 60,000 views really feels like to normal people.
Yeah, my metrics, of course we watch the numbers like everybody else, but my metrics are really like who do we impact and what's their feel. And I do still text these things out to a lot of folks. When this one comes out, I'll probably send it to you in a text, but I like the feedback of exactly what you're saying. Like, hey, I watched that. These are the early ones, the 2, 3, 4. Hey, I watched that, and I'm thinking about how we should be doing more video as a company. I watched that, and I'm realizing I should be looking at things differently. So that I really appreciate. And we're also getting story ideas and guest ideas, and people telling us what they want to see. So thanks. Keep the comments coming and keep things rolling. And we're going to try to bring in more people like the Mike Galemis, and Kurt Johnson did an awesome job exposing the whole world to what life is like running a drag strip. Justin Keith, I think, really broke the mold of, hey, I'm going to come in, I'm going to tell you everything about how I run my business, and he gave away some gold tickets of how you build an automotive empire. Brian Loans was awesome, and then Freiberger really talked business, which I don't think he's had a chance to do a lot, so I really appreciated all of our guests. And we'll do more. We've got some people lined up even today, maybe, that are going to get on the show.
If you're listening to this right now and you haven't watched Justin Keith, I feel like that one and Loans are kind of underappreciated right now. Justin Keith laid out how important YouTube is to his speed shop, how important being a creator is to his business. And that one has, at time of recording, 788 views. It's an hour and 16 minutes long. I think it's one of the most valuable hours you could spend with a guy who's been around, done events, done content, now in the shop life, and I love that one. Kurt Johnson, extremely surprising to me, honestly. I mean, we know Kurt Johnson, great guy, wealth of knowledge, but the fact that 9,500 people tuned in to effectively hear from two people they don't know and a guy who scrapes drag strips for a living was awesome. And people were like really tuned in, a lot of comments there. Brian Loans, this one was also underappreciated, I think. 1,100 views so far. Loans just goes off. There's a lot of great stuff in there. A lesson, maybe, for us, is we recorded that and released it. We recorded it before the U.S. Nationals. We released it during the U.S. Nationals. And Brian Loans, obviously, is the voice of the NHRA. So he was at the U.S. Nationals. So we didn't have kind of this initial push of getting the word out there. And I think the algo saw like, oh, there aren't that many people watching it, I'm just going to move on. Whereas with Freiberger, 46,000 views so far, with a 99% like to dislike ratio on the video, which is awesome.
That's pretty good.
But Freiberger was by far kind of a flyer here. When this video does 380 views, which are what probably our typical ones do, we're going to be a little bit sad, probably. How do you feel about that?
No, it's good. Look, this isn't going to be content for everybody. We're not entertainers. We're not going to do dumb stuff with cars. So if you want help with your automotive-based business, you came to the right place. And I would say for anybody that's wondering what in the heck is going on with you in 2025, go back and listen to Justin Keith and think about how you can incorporate some of his lessons into your business, which a lot of it was YouTube. So let's talk about our day yesterday. I was struck with just the scale of YouTube. So we get into the room, Detroit Google headquarters, 75 people, 100 people in the room. It was a kind of a strange mix for me. OEM executives and content creators. They went through the whole empire. Here's what we're doing as YouTube. Here's how things we've learned along the way. The one thing I liked that they did was they said, hey, here's the numbers on the Super Bowl, and here's a guy that put out a video about how to throw a wiffle ball, and that video did better than all the Super Bowl listeners. And it's funny because you and I have used the Super Bowl metric for at least a decade, long before YouTube was even a thing, and said, hey, how does our marketing compare to the Super Bowl, like that, if that's the ultimate marketing activity? And you look at the numbers on YouTube and you really got to reset your boundaries of what good marketing looks like. And you really need to scale it now by pick one of their top 100 or 1,000 content creators. And that's really what you need to stack your entire marketing around. I like the behind the scenes stuff. The executives talked about some new measurements that YouTube has. We're going to tap into that. I like that. It was automotive focused, but yet they still had a diverse crowd in there. So like the nice lady that sat next to me did hairstyling content, but sometimes dips into the car space. So it was really interesting. And then I'll keep going on that sense. One of the last people we talked to there was a young lady that came up, wanted some advice on how to get a deal with GM. She was talking to GMC dealers, and she said, we chop wood on our channel, and she kept talking. And I took that as kind of she means she works really hard. But she literally is an influencer, and the videos of her chopping wood. And I went and watched some of her stuff yesterday, and I was like, damn. I think if I added up, she has over 5 million followers across all of the platforms. And there's no wonder the demographic skews toward people that buy pickup trucks, because she's talking about how to chop up wood. So, like, those are some insights. Take it away. Talk to me about YouTube and what we're learning here.
Yeah, so they told us that this data was confidential and not to be shared. So I'm gonna not use exact numbers here, but we did take some screenshots.
I forgot.
Obviously, YouTube continues to be number one in TV and streaming, as reported by third-party outlets. But like, it's significantly bigger than Prime Video. It's significantly bigger than Walt Disney. It's significantly bigger than Netflix, right? YouTube is the winner in the room. So what's cool about that is on Netflix, none of us are going to get a Netflix deal, right? None of us can be on Netflix, but all of us can be on YouTube. So I thought that was a super cool stat. We know it's big, but to your point, it's number one. It's leading. I'm going to say more than 80% of prospective car buyers come to YouTube on a monthly basis. So if you're in the auto industry, I mean, just think about it. You're not going to buy a car without going to YouTube and looking at reviews about it. You're just not going to do it. And if you sell parts, you're not going to buy parts without looking at a YouTube review about something. So like, again, this is the number one streaming. It's bigger than Netflix, and 80+% of people who are going to buy a car are there. Like, for our industry, just a huge place to be.
You and I have talked about this. Yes, there are great car review YouTube channels. There aren't parts review channels on YouTube. Guys, gals, go do YouTube content on whatever part you make or the thousands of parts that you sell. Don't you think that's low-hanging fruit, as they say, right?
Well, a lot of what we saw yesterday was, I started on YouTube because of makeup reviews, or I started on YouTube because of plumbing review. Like, everybody goes to YouTube to learn how to do things or to see reviews of things. And I mean, the magazine's made an entire industry out of reviewing car parts. That was a thing. And I do think there's this weird place right now where people review cars. That's obviously a huge place to be. And people who build cars review specific parts for those cars as they install them on their car. But there isn't a channel like you would expect to see, which is like, welcome to Justin's Garage. Today we're going to review 10 air intakes for Mustangs or something like that. And I think there's a huge opportunity there for someone to do that. So if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I would love to get on YouTube and do something. Yeah, I think the review thing is absolutely huge. Shifting gears a little bit, but not really. More than 70% of people surveyed describe themselves as a video content creator. Not 70+% of people on YouTube, but 70% plus of people surveyed describe themselves as a video content creator.
Yeah, I think that just means as you're sharing vacation, or maybe you're at a racetrack for our folks, like, or you went to a car show. I guess I mean, you look at how capable a smartphone is. Yeah, it makes sense.
It's crazy though. I mean, we meet people all the time that they're like, oh, I'm not a creator, I just watch things or whatever. But a huge percent of the market considers themselves that, which is interesting, I think, going forward too, as you're hiring people, right? I think there's some implications there. Over 90% of global 14 to 45-year-olds use YouTube to consume content about a person or a thing they're a fan of. So if someone loves your brand, they want to see more from your brand on YouTube. If you're a fan of a brand, you're going to go to YouTube and be like, I want to see it. I want to see people using it. I want to feel good about buying it. I want to learn about what's coming next. So even if you're not using it as like a straight up sales tool, this is where your fans are, is what I got from this. And we hear from shops a lot like, oh, well, I don't want to do YouTube because I don't need to sell anymore. It's like, right, but what about the people that already love you, right? Don't they deserve to see this content from you and share this content from you? So give me your kind of like view of that ecosystem. Obviously, this is the bottom of the new funnel, right? Where they go from purchasing to being advocates. But I think we forget about this a lot.
Yeah, you know, they had some big NFL influencers in the room, and what I took away from them is this shared experience, right? So if you're a fan of whatever, the Lions, of course, because that's everybody's favorite football team. If you're a fan of the Lions, you want more content and you want to see the reaction of other people that like the Lions. So, you know, bringing that into the car world and the automotive industry, you know, whatever vehicle you're working on, whatever race you're watching, think about those reaction videos. Think about just sharing your thoughts about who won NASCAR this weekend, or what supercharger was effective at a street race this weekend that you were at. You know, those are genuinely appreciated, and YouTube has millions of content creators that do exactly that, is just share that experience of the joy of whatever platform you're into.
Yeah. One of the other things we saw there, which was really interesting, and no one listening to this will have access to this tool, but so maybe we can pitch this tool as a thought experiment for people. Google has a tier of YouTube that only the biggest of people get. And in that, they have a little tool that they can do trend spotting with. According to them, it evaluates 10 billion video views every week, and then it ranks the trends based on engagement, and then it sorts that content for people. Now, you and I are never going to get this. Some of the biggest brands in the world do have access to it. But what's interesting here is this idea of, as they called it, investable trends, meaning what trend can you count on to be there for long enough for you to think of this plan, make the content, get it out in the wild, see a return on it, right? Because some trends are going to come and go instantaneously. I mean, we see this all the time. But some trends are longer term than that. And we've seen a lot of trends come and go in the auto space. One that we've seen is this extreme testing trend of Whistling Diesel buying a Cybertruck and destroying it over a period of time, or Mr. Beast getting a thing and doing something extreme over a long period of time. So extreme testing would be an example of an investable trend. You've done some of that extreme testing, right? I'm thinking of putting every crate engine into one car. So maybe talk to me about what you see as investable trends and how you've had success with those working in the past.
Yeah, when they rolled this out yesterday, I really thought it was a way for brands to look into the future. Now, it might be 24 hours, and that's enough time for a creative person to get after it and hit that wave, right? For automotive manufacturers, I think certainly they have people in place that can take advantage of some of these trends. If you're a small parts manufacturer, I think the best advice we could give is like stay tuned in. And there's still ways you can look at what are the leaderboards on YouTube and follow that, right? So if you want to test your stuff, maybe it's just a way to talk about going to the Texas Mile and I'm at this many RPM for this many seconds and the stuff's still holding together. Like, I think we do extreme stuff in the automotive industry and we suck at sharing what we're doing. That was some of the problems we had at GM, right? These engineers were doing crazy stuff to make sure the crate engines lived forever, and the warranty was nuts. It was just very hard to show it because you can put a camera on a dyno and let the engine run for 2 days. Some people will tune into that, but really you need someone to explain what's going on. You need an expert to go through, like, why is that so difficult? You guys passed that test or whatever it is. You got to set the narrative, you got to set the expectation, and you got to kind of give the payoff when you finally make the finish line. So there's work to be done there.
Yeah, but engine builders especially have been abusing engines on the dyno and blowing them up for millennia, right? So it's like, film it, show people how hard it is on the thing, and then, right, go down that a little bit. I think that's definitely an investable trend. Another one that we see a lot is this ASMR category, and we see people do a great job of this with everything, but cars are such a ASMR-y thing. Putting an engine together with just the noise of the engine going together, putting a front bumper on a car with just that, putting a cage in, TIG welding. Like, there's so many examples, or just CNC machines just running, doing cool stuff, milling out whatever. That's definitely an investable trend. And I think the more people can think like, okay, what am I seeing over and over again that I can get on that isn't going to disappear instantaneously, the better you can start to get a feel for this. So I think a mini version of that is maybe something we can help people with as we see trends in the space too. But man, I would love to have 10 billion videos worth of data a week. Would be awesome. So yeah,
We'll get there.
let's see. What else do we have here? Creative variety came up a lot, and I think this is a big one. There is definitely in the auto space a lot of the same thing. There's a lot of sameness. I used to call this the Bixby Bridge problem, where every auto ad, you turn on your TV right now, you watch an auto ad, there is going to be whatever car it is driving over a bridge. Just someone decided cars have to drive over bridges to sell them in America. We have to do this every time. There's just a lot of this sameness. And we've talked about some of our favorite unsame things in the past, mainly Dodge, doing street racing and burnouts and the farmer's daughter and all that cool stuff. But like, give me your take on why is there so much sameness, and then how easy it would be to just break out of that sameness.
Yeah, the YouTube executives did a really nice job. They put up a 9-panel graph of cars that are in campaign right now, and they were exactly like you described. They were the sunset shot as the beautiful car goes over the bridge, right? And maybe it's fall. I don't know. But I would say this goes back to the strategy of being in the market, studying your competition. I actually think AI can do a great job here. Just, hey, I make pistons. AI, can you help me analyze my 4 competitors? What are they doing as an ad campaign, and what could I do differently? I've been fortunate to have creative people around me like you that don't work on engines all the time, right? And creative people can stand back and look at something and go, holy cow, that's very different. Has anybody ever talked about how you assemble an engine and how careful and how precise? Car guys aren't good at that. Car gals aren't good at realizing they're doing something really special. So maybe you try to pull yourself out of that or get help, or maybe AI can fill in the gaps. But yeah, you're right. There's certainly space to really be different. And maybe it's testing your car with no engine oil or whatever it's going to take, but find a way, you'll get there.
Yeah, here's a really cool thing you can do with AI that I've been doing a lot is like, just type in, create an image of a typical trade show photograph. And it's gonna look like every trade show photo you've ever seen because it's machine learned on every trade show. And it's like, oh wait, if I take that same thing, I'm just one of a trillion of these images. How could I do this differently now? So like, this is kind of an aside, but we went to a concert last weekend. It was the Lumineers, great band. But I've never been to a Lumineers concert, so I did not know that everyone who attends a Lumineers concert is identical looking, and they all have kind of this flowers in your hair skirt thing going on. So I was walking around like, wow, all these people look exactly the same. And then I went to ChatGPT and I said, create the average Lumineers fan. And sure enough, it nailed it perfectly. So like, yeah, I think that's a good one. Like, create the average speed shop website, create the average logo for an engine builder, and if yours looks like that, go the other way, like as hard as you can, right? And no other time in history have we had this other than hard work to go find all this reference material, right?
Don't name your company RPM.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not going to tell people the number here because YouTube didn't want us to, but ads that you run on social media, specifically YouTube, ads that you're buying as pre-roll or mid-roll, can be much longer than you think they can be. I'm not going to tell you how long they can be. I'm not going to tell you what the recommended number was, but it's way longer than you think. So instead of being like, this ad has to be 15 seconds, it's got to be 30 seconds, it's got to be 60 seconds, go over that number by some multiple and see what the results are. And they've done the math here, and they saw good results with longer ads. So I thought that was an interesting one. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I sat there when they talked to the content creators. There was a nice panel. Donut Media was on there. Max was their head creative guy, and he gave some real insights about how they build those longer form ads. And I thought that was super valuable. The cringe moment for me was, as the guy that's often the client in the room, to give up the creative license to an influencer to just go do an ad about my product. Damn, that is tough. But you got to understand that those creators know their audience. You picked them for a reason. They reach that audience for a reason. I think you know, just to put a balance in it, you've got to have final approval over whatever the ad looks like. That's okay. But also, this is good for our dynamic, right? Like, you've got to let go of the reins a little bit and let creative folks do what creative folks do. It's going to be a little fun. It's going to be a little cheeky. If you're too uptight to let them go do that, don't go down that path. But as a creative person, you want to talk about, the restrictions that some clients put on you and the damage that can happen there?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild when you think through the logic gates here. Like, someone becomes famous for doing a thing so well that 5, 10, 20 million people follow them, love them, and engage with them, and are trained to like the way that they are. You as a brand are like, oh, I want in on this. I would love access to those 20 million people. And then you show up and you're like, don't do anything you would do. Do it the way that I, with my 4,000 followers, would do it at my company. It's like, that's crazy. But that's how it used to be too in advertising, right? You used to go get a celebrity and then you would tell them how you wanted them to be. And now it's like, hey, Kevin Hart, just be Kevin Hart in whatever commercial you're in. And we've kind of given that creative freedom there. And on the social side, on the creator side, like, yeah, if someone's niche is whatever it is, that's what their audience wants from them. And anything that doesn't fit that is going to be immediately sussed out as an ad. They're just going to know it. So yeah, you got to give it up, and you should only work with people who you know would do a good job for you, right? They're not going to do it terribly. You should review it before it goes live, but that also, for me, kind of segues into what I found the biggest, most impactful moment for me was where they started talking about the full YouTube canvas, as they call it, which sounded like a made-up thing, but what it really means is taking advantage of all the different formats available to you when you launch something. And you and I and everyone in the world used to release things in kind of a linear fashion. You would have a teaser, and then a week or two later you would have the big video, and then maybe you'd have social cut downs from that push back to the big video. It's a very linear process. And what they kind of impressed upon us yesterday, and then just thinking about it overnight, was this idea that really all of that shouldn't be linear. It should happen all at once. And there are so many tools available to you now that your launch should look more like the long form, beautiful, high branded, high dollar, big direction piece. Then a beautiful version talking about whatever that product was. Then cut downs vertically for shorts that are going live at the same time. Then creators who were at the shoot, their ads for whatever that product is. Then BTS from your brand, then BTS from creators, then BTS from influencers, then people reviewing all of what you just laid out. And the temptation is to think of that like, oh, that's a 3-month campaign. That's going to be awesome. No, it's a 1-day campaign because you need a big enough infusion, a big enough splash to hopefully get you trending, right? So that's like a crazy way to think about it. But if you think about Apple, right? Apple just did their big release. They told people it was coming. On the day of release, there's the big, beautiful video from the Apple campus. Live stream. Then there's product-specific videos that are beautiful from Apple. Then there's all the social cut downs of all those things with all the features. Then there's the creators like Marquez and all these guys doing the Apple paid ads. Then there's the behind the scenes of how Apple made all this stuff, the behind the scenes of Marquez and them walking around the event, all the influencers walking around the event. And then there's people who aren't invited to any of this on the outside weighing in with their perspective on everything, right? So like, that's a huge ask. It's a big undertaking to do it this way, but I do think that is what success looks like going forward. So I just spilled a ton of stuff. What was your vibe when they started talking about the full canvas here?
Well, look, they rolled that out for a really big brand. It happened to be in the fashion industry, not in the car industry, but I think that's the right blueprint. But like, as you go through that, that's exhausting. If I'm a shop owner and I'm tuning into Automotive Advantage and I want to pick up some YouTube tips like that, I'm tired just listening to all that. So I think there's 2 ways to go about it. Do what you're doing if that's working. If it's not working, maybe there's a few things in there that you can pick off and try. Shorts, we kept hearing that, shorts. Or get content creators that are specialists in this that can give you a little more muscle. The one thing the creators pointed out after they went through that campaign was, don't forget your comment section if you're going to do this thing. And people that are in there asking you questions or talking about whatever you put out, make sure you're engaging with those folks. And thanks for listening. You know, great idea. I know we're doing that. This is a lot of work. Like, this is not just, oh, we're just going to put up some YouTube videos. There were big careers in that room. If you think about the net worth of the folks that were in that room, it's like, whew, a lot of power looking at YouTube right now. So,
yeah, and if you're a creator, there's opportunity in that full canvas for you to fit in a lot of different places now. It used to just be, you had one place you could review a product and that was it. But now it's like, oh, how do I get integrated into the main spot? How do I get integrated into the event? How do I get integrated into the BTS, right? There's opportunity there. I agree with you that it is a daunting thing, even thinking through it, even verbalizing it is like, oh man, that's a lot. But then I'm like, okay, but if I'm a shop and I'm launching a new product, like I could launch it at an event. I could already pre-prepare the launch video. I could prepare a product-specific video, so that's just 2 videos. In the launch video, I could get 2 or 3 influencers that I've worked with in the past to be a part of that and tell their story, interview them. Oh, I'm using these cylinder heads. They've been great. And then while they're there, be like, hey, make your own version of this BTS or showing how we're doing this or whatever. So there's a much smaller distilled version of that isn't as terrifying. But this is definitely where like an agency or a creator that's done stuff at this scale before would help you. But I think thinking through, it's a little bit nicer in a way, because you're like, okay, we're going to package up everything and do it, as opposed to like, and then next week we're going to, and then next week we're going to, right? So very interesting.
What I want to put a wrap on the YouTube experience, because we've got a bunch of news we want to jump on. But for me, the takeaway was, man, I think any time invested in YouTube is good money, and it's usable on many platforms, as we've kind of shown to our audience. What did you take away? Like, what are the things that changed your life from a day at YouTube and Google?
I wrote down a quote: "If you haven't entertained me or given me core information, I'm not watching, or you've provided no value." So like, I think we've talked about this before on this very podcast, but like, it either has to be entertaining or informational, and there's a funnel to that. Entertainment's going to be up here, information down here. But if it's neither of those things, which a lot of things are, then no wonder it failed, right? So I think we should always be asking ourselves, like, am I making entertainment or am I informing someone? And if I'm doing one, then let's keep it there. If I'm doing right, that was a huge takeaway. And then also just the economy of scale here, the machine that is YouTube, the machine that is Instagram, the machine that is TikTok. I mean, just unbelievable. But even at scale, even at the best content creators in the world, even at guys like Mr. Beast, they all started by just making videos with their phone and uploading them and getting no views. Like, no one in that room started as a mega conglomerate and worked their way into being a YouTube star. Everyone.
Now they are, but
now, but still the creators now are coming up the other way. So sometimes you get scared, because it's like, man, this thing already exists. It's already a monster. It's already bigger than Netflix. I can't get in on it. I might as well just not. But it's really not that way. I think a lot of people still see opportunity here, and it still exists.
Awesome. Well, it was good. I was very grateful to be included in that, and it was a valuable few hours for us. Let's dive into the news. Are you ready?
Yep.
I made my first trip to Europe thanks to my lovely wife, Tina, and we went on a Rhine trip, and I got all sorts of info on European cars. Are you ready?
Does anyone care about European cars?
I'm going to answer that question. Nobody cares about European cars.
Okay.
Where is it? I'm going to give you the top 10 European car brands. You ready? Number one? Well, you tell me. What do you think the number one European vehicle is?
Is this like a real number, or is this just from you being on a boat and looking out at traffic?
Oh, I got a graph and everything. I mean,
okay.
You know, look at it. It's
Well,
real.
that's what I would have guessed.
Yeah.
VW, number one.
Okay. Then Toyota, then BMW, then Skoda.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Do you know what that is?
That's Skoda. Everyone knows what Skoda is.
You don't know what it is either.
I've seen Skodas in rally racing before.
Your cheeks are turning red. All right. Renault, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Peugeot. Lots of Peugeot. Dacia, Dacia. I don't even know what that is. They sold 600,000 cars, though. And Hyundai. That's your top 10. Here's the big takeaway from Europe. There's absolutely no trucks in Europe whatsoever. Nobody owns a personally owned truck. So if somebody comes to you and says, man, I got this great get-rich scheme, we're going to start shipping truck accessories to France. No, you're not. European cars, there you go.
Well, according to the news from Dodge, you might not be shipping truck accessories to like 17 plus states coming up here soon, right? So give me the background on what I'm talking about for people that aren't aware, and kind of what the implications of that might sound like.
Yeah, this is in our top news. This is really amazing. This comes about because of federal regulations and what CARB standards are for emissions, that there are certain parts that are difficult / impossible to sell in California, and there's another 17 states, something like that, that follow that. Out of nowhere this past week, Dodge just said, yeah, there's going to be some vehicles that are going to have equipment on it that aren't for sale in these CARB controlled states. We don't care. We're going to sell our hot rods to the other states that want to have a good time and party with SRT. I freaking love it. I think this is a move that other companies are going to make, and you're just going to have open markets and then markets that don't want hot rods. That's really how it comes about. I mean, you pumped for this?
Consumer choice, baby. You know I love consumer choice. So if people want it, they can go buy it. And if they don't like what their state is doing about it, they can vote differently or move to a state that aligns with them. I think it's perfect.
All right, let's move to kind of what the market watch is looking like. And this is kind of where there's a lot of people that tune in just to hear our comments on what we're hearing to see if it lines up with their companies. There were a bunch of weird economic reports that came out. I don't want people to think this is negative, but this is more reality, right? Like when the McDonald's CEO comes out and says, you know, hey, rich people aren't buying our hamburgers anymore. Also, poor people aren't buying our hamburgers anymore. Like that is very rare and very indicative. There was another report today in the Morning Brew about how only something like 46% of sales from last month were to households that made more than $175,000 that they categorized as kind of upper class. You can kind of argue what that number is, but the point was the bottom half has stopped buying stuff. And this has come up for you several times about what does this look like when only the top buy stuff. I think you got to adjust your business if that's the case. One other thing, and not largely, because of this podcast, we've had several companies contact us and say, I'm going to create a tracker for the automotive aftermarket. So I'm hoping that we can debut that in the next couple episodes. So give us 30 days, but we're going to have the first ever automotive aftermarket tracking index here on the Automotive Advantage. I'm super pumped about that. If you're a finance person or if you want to know where specific segments or regions are going, we're going to debut that here real soon. So I would say the market's just weird right now. We know it's down for 25, but people are trying to scrap back. Fourth quarter, people are going to try to close really strong. That's the best I got for this week. Where are you at?
The barbell economy sucks. We've been talking about this for years. It's a reality that's becoming more and more obvious, I think, to a lot of people. There was just, this eradication of the middle class where some people were going to win and most people weren't. And then COVID hit and companies were like, oh, we can be greedier than normal. That looks fun. And then we saw average transaction price go up. We saw big brands go like, well, I could sell 500 of these cars, or I could just sell 10 at 20 times the price. I'd rather just do that. So I'll get rid of these middle ones. This is an aside from this, but recently there's been a lot of hypercar talk from regular car brands. And all of our buddies are like, oh man, you see the new hypercar from? It's like, I don't know if that's good, man, because the more time they spend developing the hypercar that none of us can afford, the less likely it is that they make the one that we can afford now. So like, I think hopefully they can take a lesson from McDonald's and realize like, oh wait, we should keep making the cars that regular people can afford, because if we only sell 10 units of something, there is a maximum price that you can get to with that. So I don't love that. I had texted you earlier. I'm going to read it here. This is a report from Edmunds. 26.6% of trade-ins towards new car purchases had negative equity in the second quarter of 2025. So 1 in 4 cars was getting traded into the dealer is a roll into negative equity. That's bad. And then that's coupled with, in the second quarter of 2025, 84-month auto loans comprised 21.6% of new auto loans. So not only are 1 in 4 trade-ins negative, but 1 in 4 trade-ins are negative and or at
7 years long
84-month auto loans. Give me your take on just that.
Well, we had a chance to hang out with Alan Johnson yesterday, who's the world's best Corvette salesman, works for Les Stanford, and he's like, and he sells very expensive cars, right? That's the punchline. But he's like, yeah, man, like some of these deals that people come in and they got to have a Corvette in his case, but it's universal. It's exactly what that data is telling you: is people are buying too much car, not putting down enough equity, car's not holding value, right? There's a lot of factors that are going on there. But what a bummer, right? Because you're not going to have money to do stuff with a car. You're not going to be able to go to the car show. You're not going to be able to buy the supercharger, right? We've talked about this. Like, it impacts down the line everything. So it's a big bummer for me.
Yeah, and this might sound like we're making fun of the people that are doing this, and we're not. What we're really making fun of is the fact that the average car has gotten so expensive that people have to roll them for 84 months to be able to afford them. Like, that's obscene, right? And like, we see every time I'm in traffic, it's just like Escalade, Tahoe, Navigator, like G-Wagon. It's all these crazy, and I'm like, how are people affording it? Well, this is how they're doing it. And yeah, they're not. And then we're like, how come no one's doing X, Y, Z? It's like, because they're paying money every month for these things, right? And it's not like we're at 2% interest rates now either. So yeah, that was a scary number. I guess it's great for our used car guys because they still have a huge market here. But, you know, very interesting to see where that goes as we keep trending forward.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, Justin, but you got to watch what that market looks like, and you got to look at what are these expensive cars going to be in 5 years, right? They're going to be over leveraged. The value's got to go down. Who's going to buy them? And are there opportunities to go make money off of cars that were once really expensive? I guess you could look at some of the exotics as examples of what happens to these cars, but I don't think I've seen anything like this for, you know, kind of meat and potato brands. So it's going to be difficult. I'm going to segue into one bright spot, which is, you know, if you were to look at what platform you could turn to go make money as a new car salesperson, as an accessorizer, as a performance part person, HP Tuners did something amazing just a couple months ago. They cracked into the 24 and 25 Mustang and F-150. And what I'm hearing out there on the streets is it has saved a number of companies, power adders, suspension companies, wheel companies, folks that you don't always think about with F-150. I've been studying the F-150 regular cab. I'll call that thing a supercar, but you know, Cletus has been doing a bunch of content, but there was one dealer that cracked the code 6-7 years ago, right, that put out a $49,000 F-150 that made 700 horsepower for under 50 grand, right? So those vehicles, watch the F-150, watch the new Mustang. I think the sales will take off, and if you're close to that market as an accessorizer, even a tint guy, run an F-150 tint special and watch what happens. People are spending money on those two specific vehicle platforms, and it's largely because HP Tuners unlock those things.
Well, and this is going to sound really stupid, but like, obviously trucks are hot, but it's for a lot of the reasons we've just talked about. Like, in this building right now, you drove a factory super truck here. I drove a Raptor here. Someone else here, a special guest here, has a Raptor R here. Like, if you are going to make 84 months worth of payments, you're not going to do it on a toy you can only drive never, right? So it makes sense to buy a truck. You also can, if you have an LLC or a business like that, you can get some of them because they're heavy enough to get the tax deduction. And you can put your family in it, you can do business in it, you can work out of it, you can flip down the little thing in the F-150 and put your laptop on there. And you can also supercharge it and do whatever, or, you know, tune it and make a ton of power. So yeah, I think the truck is here to stay. It's been here, but I think it will continue to get even bigger and bigger, especially like here where the roads are terrible and the seasons are short. Like, a truck just makes more sense, I think, than ever before.
Yeah, I want a regular cab F-150 with a blower so bad I can't even tell you. So, all right, I want to transition to something. This is a couple weeks old, but it's when you and I have run classes on how to build a business in the automotive aftermarket. the students are just hyper focused when we get to the logo section, and we get it. It's very personal. You likely aren't going to change it. There was this amazing example with Cracker Barrel a couple weeks ago where they've got an existing business. It's awesome. The CEO and obviously a CMO somewhere and a bunch of agency people get together and they're like, you know what we're going to do? They change the logo, and I can't wait to get your hot take on this thing, and everything goes completely terrible. They held off for about 24 hours with just like nothing but a barrage of "you suck" right everywhere in the world, even on the nightly news, which is crazy wild. There's a weird political spin on it, which I actually don't get, and I kind of just, let's push that aside. You and I don't talk about politics on this podcast, but I am fascinated with what I think this creative was. It looked really incomplete to me. It's like if I asked AI to make a modern Cracker Barrel logo, that's kind of like what I saw. I didn't really see any thought go into it. The lesson, right, for the auto industry and for small companies out there, man, be really careful. Now, you're not going to end up on nightly news at Fox, but you can damage your brand if you make a mistake with your logo and how you go to market. So give it to me, man. I want to hear your take on this Cracker Barrel logo shift because it's awesome.
I don't know, where do you even start? All right, there's so many lessons in the Cracker Barrel thing. One is just this new form of internet hive minding that is at like a absolute crescendo right now. And just the speed at which one half of the internet can turn on a thing and is just absolutely incredible. That's one thought. Second thought, I didn't think people cared about logos this much, and we make logos as part of our business model. But, you know, I remember like when Gap changed their logo, people were like, whatever, and then you could just kind of move on. I don't even know how as a brand you would anticipate this. Like, we've recently redone logos for brands that I love. We're very careful about it, but at no point during that was I like, oh no, what if the entire internet and every single person on the nightly news turns against us for something that is definitely just inferred at best, you know? And it's not like they came out with a video explaining this whole thing. It was just like, we have a new logo, that's cool. And man, it was rough.
Did you like the art?
No, I mean, it's a terrible logo,
Okay,
but like,
thank you.
yeah.
There you go.
But, you know, we've seen a trend, obviously, over the years of people reducing their logos. Like the biggest, oldest brands in the world used to have these very complicated, glorious, grandiose logos with a million little things. And now they just type out in an all lowercase font the name of the brand. And it's pretty boring, to be honest, but I think that's what Cracker Barrel was doing. They're like looking at everyone else's logo and they're like, oh, everyone just likes a simple, you just type out Microsoft and that's it. We don't need the whole 3D animated wavy Windows thing and all that. So on paper, it seemed like a simple task. It was definitely taken in a totally different direction. And I think the biggest thing to learn here is what we've talked about with big brands forever, which is like, you don't own your brand.
Say it again, because people don't understand this.
You don't own your brand. The people own your brand. And the people that have bow ties tattooed on them and the people that have, you know, the Ford blue oval tattooed on them, they love that brand. They love it enough to have it tattooed on them. I'm sure someone has a Waffle House tattoo. I'm sure someone has a Cracker Barrel tattoo. Like, I was thinking while this was going on, like, what if Waffle House changed their thing? They're so iconic with the way, or In-N-Out, right? But like, I think people come into jobs and they just think, oh, it's my job to change things and I'm just going to simplify this and it'll be fine. It's like, evidently people loved their old logo, which wasn't that great either. It's not like, oh, that's the pinnacle of logo design. But we're just in a time now where some people are going to find something to argue about with anything. And if they get that match lit correctly, it's hard. It's actually impossible to withstand it. And, this 24-hour news cycle thing, they're getting better at staying on it. So like, I thought this would blow over quicker than it did. And the internet was like, well, we're not letting this go. So crazy. I would love to have whoever was in charge of that on the pod just to talk about it. I mean, Jaguar did the same thing, literally almost exactly, but in a different direction. But they also took an iconic logo and made it just like a typed out thing. And people were big mad about that too. So I guess chill on the logo changes for a while. I don't really know. One other thing that's been really interesting has been this insane ability for AI to generate insane amounts of content around any topic and get it into your feed at a pace we've never seen before.
Let's move on. I got one. I got a business idea. All right. I catch this article about a company that exists in another industry, and here's what they do. Let's say you're getting married. Weddings are very expensive. You can work with this company, and you can sign up your wedding day, and you can, I'll say, virtually sell tickets to people that like to go to weddings. And it's a way to find sponsors to help pay for your wedding. Now they're going to be there and they're going to be, eating cake and whatever. I'm like, wow, first of all, A, that's super weird for me. And then B, like, oh, wait a minute. We have talked about how lonely some demographics are across the board. And we see that in some of these hanging out YouTube live stream events where people just want to have some friends, like-minded people to come together. I want to run this by you. Can I sell tickets to come out and watch my race car to help pay for my race car? Or could I get people to pay me to come and watch me at a dyno day if I'm a shop owner? What's your hot take on that?
I'm not sure if you just invented Patreon accidentally again, or yeah, I mean, people have been supporting, right? There's been GoFundMes, there's been all kinds of stuff like that. It's weird in the wedding industry. I think that's the strangest version of that. But it is interesting that you can micro fund things now that you never could do in the past. Like, I remember when Dogecoin was a big thing the first time around, there was a Dogecoin NASCAR wrap, and people from the Doge community funded the wrap through Dogecoin things. So like, there's definitely ways to do that where you're like, hey, I'm going to build a car, I'm going to build a brand, and kind of a Kickstarter, kind of a Patreon, all wrapped into one thing. I think, yeah, if I'm an event owner, I think there should be ways to incentivize racers and stuff to be like, hey, you can sell tickets to this event too. Like, they don't have to come through me, right? Something like that could be interesting. But yeah, you used to have to go to Summit and Jegs and they have to sponsor the whole car and they have to write you one big check. But now you can get a million little checks, right? Through your subscribers, through Patreon, through however they want to get you the money and fund these things. So yeah, it's definitely possible.Maybe if someone's watching this, they want to send us $1, that'd be sick.
You put a sticker on your shirt, don't you? You get branded up.
Oh yeah, we'll get branded up right now. That's no problem at all. We'll just get 100 stickers of people's faces or something like that. So
apparently Mike Drop's paying for this one.
Mike Drop's been our most loyal sponsor so far. And they're doing great. They're sold out. So yeah,
congratulations.
That's where we're at. I did want to say, we went over all our YouTube analytics, but shout out to everybody who's listening to this in the car. We've been doing well on Spotify / Apple Music. So over 1,800 plays in the last 30 days on audio only here, 564 consumption hours, and 70 plus followers. So shout out to anybody listening to this at home. We appreciate it, or while you're driving. It's cool that people can watch it or listen to it, and you can actually watch it on Spotify too. So, but if we're not in a place where you'd like us to be, I think, let us know, and we'd love to be there.
I got one more, and you and I have been very consistent on bringing AI to the forefront, even though it's the last topic. We talk about it every week. I'm getting notes from people that are in the high performance industry that tune cars for a living. And I think this started as a joke, and they're like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna have AI tune this car. As it turns out, and I don't know what the feed is, we need to get someone to come in and kind of explain, like, how did you set this thing up? What I'm seeing is that AI is a better tuner than, I don't want to say every human, but most humans that have run a tuning software program. I'm wondering if you're hearing any of this. Most of all, I wanted to bring this in here just to make people aware of, it's not just for writing emails, guys. It's not just for putting together a goofy logo for whatever you're doing. They're tuning cars now. AI is going to take some more jobs, I think.
Well, or it's going to empower people to figure out how to use it to be able to tune faster and better and more efficiently. I mean, I remember years ago hearing about neural networks in tuning and having Bob from the tuning school walk me through, one, what is a neural network, and two, how is it doing anything? And at the time, Bob had built a tool that would allow you to train your own neural network that would then plug into the car and tune it. There's a way, I mean, they're talking about science fiction stuff to me. So I think that was kind of the early version of this. And now we're at some other thing where there's a bunch of tools available to be able to upload whatever and have it do it. So it'd be fascinating to get someone from HP Tuners or Bob or someone like that on just to talk through the implications of that. But I think the more globally, anything that you can do, theoretically, it can also do. And many people are only using it to do one or two, write emails, make funny memes, whatever. And it's like, well, what else can this thing do, right? And we talked about the Google trend spotting thing. It's like, well, I bet OpenAI could do that too if I pointed it in the right direction. So there's a lot more that it can do that people aren't thinking of yet. And I think we're going to see it in every industry, every little niche.
All right, Justin, I think we're at the end. Do you have any other topics you wanted to bring in today?
That's it for me.
That's pretty good. Wrap it up.
That's the pod. An hour and 12 minutes. Pretty impressive, actually, for us. I feel like since we missed a week, we had a lot of pent-up energy there. But also, it's going to be interesting to see how this does and any feedback we get from people. We were going to read mean tweets, mean comments about us, but maybe we'll bring that in next. So if you're listening to this still, comment below. Let us know how you feel about where we're going, what we're doing, what you hate about us, what you love about us, and we'll bring it in next time.
Thanks, everybody.
That's the pod.